Get ready to witness your elf on the shelf like never before. Today, we're sharing the most unbelievable sightings caught on camera, so don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and let's dive right into the magic. This shows elves on the shelf caught red-handed at the scene of their crime. It's the second day of Thanksgiving, and these elves must have been angry about not getting an invite to eat because they ended up breaking into the family fridge and having a feast. We can learn from this clip that it's better to just invite your elves to Thanksgiving because they might get their piece of dinner one way or another. In this clip, we have an elf that doesn't wait until nightfall to stretch his legs for a bit. His name is Boris, and he seems to be unaware of the fact that he's been set up and is being filmed. After his human friend leaves him sitting on the sofa alone for just a minute to go downstairs, it only takes Boris a moment to seize the opportunity. The little fella gets up and spins around, doing pirouette-like movements, almost as if he's practicing figure skating. For an instant, he disappears from the screen before flying back into view and then dropping down on his face as he hears his friend coming back. Unfortunately, Boris might have been a little too reckless since he was not only caught on camera, but even gives himself away due to the fact that he's in a completely different position than what his human friend left him in before. This clip shows elves that got sick and because of that have turned into candy canes. Luckily, their owners knew exactly what to do and prepared a special potion that cured the elves and brought them back into their usual elf form. This is just amazing to see that a few drops of magic potion can treat the elves, so let's check it out.
Don't worry, Elves. We are going to turn you back to normal. 1, 2. One little drop. Elvis is back to normal. Yay!
Up next, we have a clip of an elf on the shelf getting baited by a $100 bill. So the elf's owner placed a $100 bill on the ground right in front of the elf, and the little fellow literally jumped off the Christmas tree to claim it.
You see that? You got to be kidding. As soon as I look.
Now, this kid practically was informing his father that he did not believe in the elf on the shelf's existence, and we can't blame him, because these days, many people don't believe in magical elves. Anyways, this kid was telling his father that he doesn't believe it, and he has no idea what he was talking about. When he returned to his room, an elf on the shelf actually emerged and began flying around. And then the elf on the shelf began to perform various additional actions. Now, obviously, it's just flying around the house and flying around his room, but something crazier happens at the end of the clip, so stay tuned for that.
What is it? What? Who?
In this clip, we can see an elf on the shelf moving right in front of a hidden camera, but not long after, the elves notice the camera and takes a closer look at it. Perhaps you can't find many cameras in the North Pole, and that's why this elf is super curious about such a device. Maybe it doesn't even know that it's being recorded, and that's why the elf doesn't hurry to escape being recorded. For this clip, we have an elf who was caught moving, but as soon as the owner entered the room to approach the elf, it jumped and stopped moving until landing. The elf knows it got caught. In this clip, we can see the elf on the shelf being recorded by a hidden camera, which captures him starting to move. The elf slowly moves its arms and legs before using its magical powers to briefly stop the camera from recording. Now we can see the elf looking straight at it, and the elf winks and smiles before using its magic once again, this time to disappear. Now we have a clip of an evil elf on the shelf. A woman asked these two YouTubers for help because she swore that her elf on the shelf had turned evil, so they set up multiple security cameras around her house and waited until the elf started moving. And when it did, it started causing absolute mayhem. It shoves things off the counter, plays with the light switch, and even uses dark magic to teleport into the woman's bedroom, where then it peeks its head out of the wardrobe.
Sure. Yeah, guys, this elf on the shelf is corrupt.
Up next is this little naughty elf caught moving and tumbling down this little platform he was standing on, next to the little royal guard. It's just a short video, but it's worth watching. Since it's an elf on the shelf getting caught moving, let's check it out. this short clip, we can see an elf named Abe being caught on camera while driving a toy car. Who knew that some elves could actually drive? Abe isn't even using its hands to steer the wheel, so we guessed that it's using magic to move around with the car. For this clip, we have an elf sitting between some toys and it slowly starts moving before getting up and leaving the frame. Seconds later, the elf shoves its head right into the camera from above and finally flips it over. This elf probably wasn't happy about its owner trying to record it moving. Elves on the shelf during the festive season is a common theme for decors, but it seems like the elf in this clip is not up for the festive season, nor does it like its position on the Christmas tree. In this clip, an elf on the shelf, or rather on a Christmas tree, was caught on camera moving from the top of the Christmas tree to another position below. Let's take a look. For this short clip, we have an elf that started moving at night. It peeks its head from behind the couch, but soon after, the family dog notices the elf moving and starts chasing after it. The elf even hides behind the couch, so let's just hope that the dog wants to play with the elf instead of tearing it apart. Here we have another clip showcasing elves eating their Thanksgiving dinner. The elves can be seen with evidence of the food they stole right in their mouth. We can't blame them because they might have known that they might not be invited to Thanksgiving, so they decided to take food for themselves.
Well, look at the mashed potatoes. Mabel started mashing them. She's so sick.
This clip isn't anything new, but a moving elf is still fascinating to watch. Did you notice the elf's movement near the door? According to the video's owner, he was astonished when he saw the clip recorded on a surveillance camera, and then he was super happy about his decision to place it there. This clip is a short segment from a TV news report that shows one elf on the shelf doing all sorts of crazy stuff on camera. So you're not supposed to see an elf on the shelf with your own two eyes because apparently the elves can lose their magical powers if that happens, but if you record them on camera, nothing bad ends up happening to them, so keep on watching. In this clip, we have an elf on the shelf who started moving in the middle of the night, but as soon as it started moving, it noticed the secret camera and escaped from the frame. However, sometime later, it returned and we could see its tiny little legs moving around, until finally the elf gets tired and sits back down in its spot. So this dad set up security cameras in his kid's room to capture the elf, and they were checking out the footage, which is just insane and I can't believe it's real. Do you think this elf on the shelf started moving around the camera, or is this fake? The elf on the shelf doesn't want to be seen moving when people are around, but in this case, it did start moving while on camera. I don't see how you could fake this, but you can see that the elf on the shelf is moving out of the box, jumping out of the box, and roaming all over the room, and it's absolutely spectacular, so let's check it out. In this clip, you'll see a cheeky elf on the shelf using a small snow machine inside a house to, well, make snow. More experienced elves on the shelf can just use magic to conjure snow, but this one is probably a younger elf who just wanted to have some fun with the snow machine. So let's check it out.
In our house.
Now we have a funny clip of this energetic elf dancing in the living room. After showing off his best dance move, the elf gets on the dog and starts to take a ride to the TV, where the elf gets on the mantelpiece, joins his elf friends on the TV, and starts dancing again. This elf keeps dancing until the TV turns off. What a crazy clip. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught on camera moving, but where the other elves on the shelf clips usually have elves moving around with no destination in mind, this elf on the shelf has a purpose, and that's to find its fluffy friends. So let's check it out. This elf on the shelf was sitting still, but as soon as its owner walked past it, the elf started moving. The elf moved a bit and laid down on the side because its owner walked past the shelf again. But as soon as the owner wasn't present, the elf started moving again. This little elf wanted to move so much, but unfortunately for him, his owner was right next to him, so he couldn't risk being seen. In this clip, we have a really smart elf who noticed that a security camera was recording him at night, so he decided to just pick it up and do a little elf vlog, recording himself walking around the house. This recording was a perfect gift for the family, and the elf must have put in so much effort into it because just think about it, a camera is super heavy for the little elf, so carrying it around the house should have been really difficult.
Oh my goodness, what is that tree doing? What's he doing?
What's he gonna do, girls?
Hmm?
Oh no. Oh.
He's going on her couch. Going. Oh my.
The security camera of a home captured something bizarre when the owners were not at home. In this clip, the elf on the shelf was caught on camera moving directly in front of the security camera and then started staring at it. What a sight to see. Now we have a clip of this cheerful and adorable elf that was discovering playing in the house and being watched by the cat. After climbing the stairs, the elf balances itself high up on the stair railing before sliding down. The landing probably hurt, so he's gonna try it again with a pillow. Fortunately, the cat was super patient with his little elf friend and no harm was done to it. We now have a clip of an elf who was spotted ziplining off the top of the Christmas tree. Not every elf is brave to attempt this kind of crazy trick, but this elf is also friendly because as he's done with this kind of stunt, he slowly approaches the camera and smiles right at it. And we're super fortunate that this family decided to set up a hidden camera because otherwise we would have never seen anything like this.
This is how the elf is.
This family decided to play hide and seek at their house with a giant elf on the shelf. You can see the elf walking through the house looking for children who were hiding, and eventually the elf comes upon this suspicious cardboard box sitting in the middle of the kitchen. So let's see if the elf...
That's all Spider-Head. Oof.
Alright, you guys ready? You better be, because the elf on the shelf is coming in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait, okay, so the elf's got to pick one box. One box. Shh. Where are you going to go there, elf? Oh, whoa, what's going on? Are you picking this? Uh-oh!
Now we have a clip of this elf on the shelf seemingly sitting still on the kitchen counter. But soon enough, it starts moving its eyes. You can clearly see that the elf is looking around to see if it's alone in the room and whether he can start moving freely. This clip shows two elves, one wearing red and another wearing pink, sitting on their toy horses, as if they're preparing for a race. However, the elf who is wearing red clothes just starts riding towards the camera. We can only wonder whether the elves wanted to race and got scared of being recorded, or they didn't even plan to race in the first place and just wanted to ride around on their little horses.
He's riding his reindeer. What is he doing, girls? What is he doing? Oh, he's gone.
Got some tears because that's so funny. That's only bubblegum.
Wait, he's coming back. What in the world?
This clip shows another example of elves that like to use flying technology instead of magic. These kids were on a mission to catch their elf on the shelf as a part of their Christmas celebration. They were hoping to meet the elf on the Christmas tree and see it with their own eyes, but it had other plans. Stay around as 2 hours later, the elf made a grand descent flying a candy-filled toy airplane, which is nothing surprising considering elves love sweets. This clip captures one elf who's wearing green clothes turning his fellow elf into a pile of candy cane dust. The owner of these elves was shocked to discover what looks to be a crime scene, and we can only hope that the other elf will return to normal instead of remaining just a pile of crushed candy canes. Who knew that elves could use such dangerous magic? Just imagine if your elf would decide to cast this spell on you and turn you into candy cane dust.
Start the elf off the shelf. And then, this is what I discovered. And it's, wait, is this, it looks like, yeah, it is. It's Buddy. Buddy's hat, the elf on the shelf, and what in the world? He turned into something. Was it Zart? What is this something? Look, let's take a close-up look. Whoa! Whoa, yeah, it does. It looks like candy cane mints. Buddy? Oh, dear. Zart, what in the world did you do?
In this brief clip, we can see an elf looking straight into the camera before headbutting it. Perhaps the elf didn't like being secretly recorded, and that's why it tried to shut the camera off. After 2 headbutts, the elf understands that it doesn't know how to turn the camera off and it leaves the scene. For this clip, we have an elf who decided to surprise its sleeping owner by descending from the ceiling and hopping onto her head, which was enough to wake up the girl. Surprisingly, she gets scared and starts shouting. Perhaps she didn't see that it was an elf, and that's why she got so scared.
Somebody, please!
This clip shows an elf on the shelf jumping up and down the bedroom and getting caught on the camera while doing so, but when it discovers it's being filmed, the elf could only think of a place to hide, and its choice will surprise you, so keep watching. For this short clip, we have an elf who's lying down on its side and shaking. One evening, the owner found their elf this way and it just kept shaking. We don't know whether the elf was ill or just messing with its owner, but it's pretty strange nonetheless. This next clip was recorded by a girl who woke up in the middle of the night and only sees her elf moving around in bed, so she started recording it with her phone, and she captured this marvelous sight of her elf on the shelf moving around, but it quickly notices her recording, so the elf stops moving as if nothing had happened. This guy is on a quest to catch the elf on the shelf moving over the Christmas season. He tried putting chocolate coins and candy canes in front of the elf to make him move and grab a piece of the chocolate for a snack, but it's not gonna work. He needs to pay closer attention to the elf, but nothing appears to be changing, so he turned off the lights and installed a night vision camera, and then the elf vanishes, leaving the goodies half empty. What happened to it? Fortunately, the guy fitted a GPS tracker to the elf to keep track of it, and where do you think the elf on the shelf went? Of course, to the North Pole, and the elf is probably going to tell Santa everything that's happened to him. This elf on the shelf got super mad at the kids for making it angry, and it got discovered sitting and flipping one of the kids off. The elf even left a note explaining that it's angry because the kids were behaving badly towards it. And well, while the elf should be setting a good example for the kids to follow, we can't blame it for losing its temper. This clip starts off with an elf on the shelf sitting on what seems to be a bed, but soon enough it starts moving and hopping around. But at the end of the clip, the elf falls down lifeless. As you might know, elves don't like being seen moving, and perhaps at that moment the owner of this elf entered the room, and that's why the elf just suddenly stopped moving. This clip shows 3 to 4 elves and a Spider-Man toy sitting on an empty strawberry carton, while a super rare black elf is pushing them from behind until the carton starts sliding down the stairs as if it were a sled. It looks super fun, but they end up crashing terribly at the bottom of the staircase. These elves are super naughty because they're supposed to be investigating the children, and they see if they're acting good enough to get the gifts from Santa, but who's looking over the elves? If someone would send this clip to Santa, these elves would definitely get fired, so let's check it out. In this short clip, the hidden security camera captured the elf on the shelf slowly moving its eyes. The elf perhaps noticed the camera and knew that it was trying to record it moving, and that's why it only moved its eyes. So this mom set up some security cameras at the start of December because she knew that her children's elves on the shelf would like to roam around the house and do some bad stuff. In this clip, you can see them captured scooting around the house late at night, but they do something crazy at the end, so keep on watching. If you didn't know, you aren't supposed to touch your elves on the shelf, because if touched, they can lose their magic powers. And that's exactly what happened to this elf, and you can see because their eyes are blank. Fortunately, the owner's an elf on the shelf expert, and she made a magic potion out of cinnamon and foam to help her elf regain its magic powers. So let's check it out.
The magical lock. Okay, oh, whoa, that was quick. Did you see that? It opened up immediately. Whoa! She just moved. I just saw her move. Okay, let's see. Have my magic gloves on so they will not lose their magical powers. Ah! She is! She's still smiling.
Now we have a clip of a group of elves sitting in darkness, and we can see the usual red elf, but next to it sits a more rare blue elf and green elves. However, the moving elf is the pink one, who comes from behind the camera and shoves the blue elf before showing its own face to the camera. While all the elves are not moving, the pink one seems to be having tons of fun alone. It appears that the family's suspicions about the elf on the shelf have increased, and they believe he's likely roaming around the house. And in order to provide him with a little light, they propped him up in front of the laptop because, you know, they had to turn all the lights down in order for the elf to believe that they're sleeping. And scary enough, it moved its head in a strange way, which is going to impress a lot of you, so let's check it out. For this short elf on the shelf caught moving clip, we have an elf who saw a camera rolling and decided to look straight into its lens. The elf shoves its face into the camera and quickly makes its exit. What a wonderful sight. In this clip, we have a joyful elf on the shelf who, upon moving, climbed down the Christmas tree and walked up to the cat. The elf looked like it wanted to pet its furry friend, but the cat got super scared of the elf and walked away. It's likely that it's the first moving elf the cat has seen, so that's why it's scared of it. The elf tries walking up to the cat a few more times, but he never succeeds in petting it. Elf on the shelf was caught on camera moving from one place to another. The elf was caught riding a tiny toy horse and being accompanied by another doll, but it left the other two to climb up the chair, but then jump on the table to find itself a hiding spot. So let's check it out. If you believe you've seen it all, this clip might convince you that you haven't seen anything when it comes to elves on the shelf caught on camera. This clip shows an elf on the shelf wearing a piece of clothing you'll never believe is possible for an elf to wear, so watch carefully. Two elves on the shelf displayed impressive magic when they both decided to use magic to create a Christmas tree in their owner's house, and then the elves joined hands together like lovers facing the Christmas tree. That's probably the most romantic elf on the shelf clip ever, so enjoy it to the fullest. This elf noticed that his owners were trying to capture him moving on camera, but instead of sitting still and not moving at all, he decided to wave at the camera, gifting us this wonderful clip. For this clip, we have an incredible sighting of an elf appearing in front of the camera out of thin air before slowly making its way towards the recording device. Not long after, the elf uses its magic again to vanish out of thin air, but just a second later, the camera starts shaking and another elf on the shelf pops right into frame. In this clip, the elf on the shelf was caught moving towards the sleeping dog, and at first it seems like the elf was just having fun and dancing around the dog, but then the elf turns to its furry friend with a treat. This clip shows an elf which was caught getting stuck inside a dog feeder. You can see its tiny legs sticking out, and it's super lucky that the dog didn't bite them off. Later on in the clip, you'll see the entire elf behind the glass, but the craziest part is when it starts talking and explaining how it ended up getting stuck there, so let's check it out.
An elf on the shelf. Wait, buddy? Buddy, are you okay in there?
Well, I'm doing all right, but the puppy, she keeps licking my feet. Well, Zach put me inside here for some reason, and it smells like dog treats. Not so tasty. I wish it was cookies instead. But yeah, Zach locked me in. Can you help save me, please?
A kid and her mom caught their elf on the shelf moving on camera by a lucky accident. But in this clip, the elf was seen climbing down from the top of the wall to first rest under the pillows and then suddenly reappear to start moving towards the camera. The elf even seems to be smiling at the end, so let's check it out. December 2013, an office was explored by an elf on the shelf and it was caught wandering around with 4 surveillance cameras. The team was able to observe every inch of the movement of the elf, which roamed all around the office, checking out the Christmas lights and other decorations. Finally, camera 4 captured the elf moving into another room and coming back holding a piece of paper, which is a scan of itself. The elf probably thought that's how humans take selfies.